thought, sorry, doing art, I would have thought that then, you know, if you would have said in 20 years' time, what will Tilda be doing? You know, I would have said, well, she's really able, and I think she could probably make a film like this one day. How did you become a Hollywood superstar? What went wrong?
Well, you know, don't ask me. It wasn't my idea.
It's weird. I mean, it's just something I've wondered. I'm very glad that you did.
Just don't question it. It's all very mad and nothing to do with any of us.
But
keep your eyes on John Berger and it'll all go away.
Tilda also famously said that well, you did say years ago that you didn't think you weren't a proper actor. Do you still think you're not a proper actor?
I'm not. And when I say that, I mean two things. I firstly mean that I never intended to be an actor, so I feel like coming clean before anybody else says, you're not a proper actor. I mean, I never said I was, so just back down. But also I'm not really that interested in it. So again, I feel like declaring my goods at the board. I'm not, Simon. I'm just not. It's not, for me, it's not that interesting. What they know. Anybody who gives me a job knows I'm not that interested. They know. They know I'm interested in other things.
But you are massively interested in film, aren't you?
Yeah, but you know, you don't have to be interested in acting necessarily to be interested in film. Yeah. And I've been really lucky. And you know, I started in this weird and woolly way with Derek. I mean, there's not much acting in those films. In most of the films I made with Derek, they were, you know, I mean, half of the films were silent films generated on Super 8, blown up to 35, which were sort of glorified home movies, really. I mean, they were us dressing up as weird things and, you know, shooting ourselves.
What was that disgusting thing you had to do in Edward II?
Which one?
You had to eat.
Blood, yeah. I was a vampire for the first time in my life, but not the last. Yeah, I had to drink disgusting blood, yes. I did swallow a bit of it, but anyway, yeah.
Bartek, is it right that you did a PhD in editing?
What do you mean, is it right?
Have I got my information correct?
It is the right thing to do, to write a PhD on editing.
Now, I know this might not be the neatest segue ever, from vampire blood to editing, but...
It's a segue.
It's a segue of sorts, it's just a clumsy one, But how important in a film like this is the role of the editor? Does it almost become more important than the role of the director when you're dealing so much with historical material?
Okay.
Now, we can't do the whole PhD.
Okay, well, okay, so this will be a very short pitch of my, PhD. There's editing, the post-production stage is a mirror of a previous stage, which is conceptualizing the film, which you can call decoupage. So actually what Tilda did before we started filming, and during the filming, was decoupage. She decided that this is the bit of the work that we want to film. These are our characters. These are the objects which are important for the film. So it was all about just kind of harvesting, collecting things. And editing is just cooking it, just putting these ingredients together. So there's in a sense it's a continuous process, which isn't a very original idea. Soviets said it in 20s and 30s that editing starts from the moment you take the camera. So yes, editing is the last process, or is the last stage of this process. And some films, all four parts were actually made in editing, more than it's true in this case more than in the case of any other film probably, because the storyline emerged only when we were looking at the rushes. Yes, that these films were made in the edit.
Is this the first film you've directed, or have you directed others?
This is my second film. The first one was about Zygmunt Bauman.
And will you be collaborating again, the four of you?
Yeah.
We've had Derek Jarman, we've had John Berger. Yeah.
Bartek and I had great fun. Bartek came up to Scotland and we we had great fun editing our section of the film, and so we've got various plans.
God, you love your swoopy shots, don't you? They're amazing. They're beautiful.
It's got a drone and it's very cheap. Really, really cheap these days.
I thought that was spy ship.
I know, it's amazing. And
Yeah.
Xavier, my son, was doing some of the camera work. It's a really lovely thing to have a little drone camera like that, especially in a place like that.
Having said that, you're not really interested in acting.
Mm-hmm.
Could you see yourself maybe developing an interest in directing?
I've always been really interested in documentary and in essay films in particular, and having made, it feels like I work now on these 4 films. It feels like 4 films, even though it's presented as one. I'm very, very interested in this form, particularly this kind of interrelational portrait. I think it's a beautiful thing. So I would love to have some more encounters with people.
What does John think of it?
He says he likes it, but then what he does is he says, and he's right to do this. I think he immediately says how much he likes everything else in it. You know, he really likes our conversation in the first one, and he really likes all the sort of stuff about animals in the second one. He really likes the conversation in the third one. He really likes the children in the fourth. So he immediately puts his attention onto everything else, but that's pure John.
Are you still peeling apples in quarters?
I only do it like that now. He's completely retrained me, like his father.
It's actually incredibly moving when you
Wasn't
start
that
to
an
do that.
amazing thing?
Yeah.
And also the thing about the maps. His father looking for the maps. Yeah. Again, I think he told me afterwards that he hadn't never even remembered that story about the maps until that moment. And that was exactly what we wanted. We wanted something fresh. We wanted him to be thinking anew. And I suppose it helps if you've got a relatively old friendship. You know, you've got some people who are used to just chatting away.